I am here to tell you to play Grime. For the past while, I've been struggling to find fun, new experiences, so I've just been replaying some of the games on my Steam library that I haven't played in a while. It's been fun, but I've been running out of challenges that I want to experience again. Eventually, I reinstalled the Epic Games Store because I saw one of my friends struggling on The Witness, and I remembered I had got the game for free on Epic a long time ago. It just so happened that the week I reinstalled Epic Games, Grime was the free game of the week. Most of the time with these free games, I just redeem it and let it rot on the shelf. But the trailer on the page for Grime caught my eye, drawing me in with the promise for a skill-based experience that I've been craving for the past while. So I went and played it, and boy, do I not regret it for a second. When I first started playing it, I wasn't taking it too seriously. Sharing it to my friends on Discord, we were constantly making jokes about the word grime and such, and I planned to stop playing it as soon as I started not having fun. And that never happened. I never stopped having fun with the game. The tutorial introduced the game mechanics very well and made sure that I knew that this was a very parry-focused game. With that knowledge, I was ready to embrace the world with an open mind. I really enjoyed exploring every corner of the maps I could, filling in the gaps, doing all the platforming sections, and being rewarded with plenty of upgrade materials for my troubles. And through my extensive exploration of the world, I got lots of hunt points. Hunt points are an awesome mechanic. The basics of it are that there are plenty of mini-bosses spread throughout the world, and through killing them, you get hunt points, or what some may call skill points. What are they used for? Well, whenever you deal the final blow on most basic enemies with a parry, you absorb them and gain knowledge of their traits. Do it a handful of times and you'll unlock the enemy's trait, or perk, what some may call. And you can spec into these perks with your hunt points. These perks can range from something as simple as more health, more stamina regen, a larger parry window, or they can get as complicated as reflecting an attack gives you 10% more damage. It stacks up to 3 times, each stack lasts 10 seconds or until you get hit. Quite the mouthful. I was honestly quite stunned by how much potential for build variety there was in these perks. I'll talk a bit about the leveling system now as well. First off, you don't lose your currency on death, unlike other Souls-likes, which is a massive W. Huge props for the devs for that, because it removes a lot of the frustration in this genre of games. Instead, you lose this thing called Ardor that is basically a currency multiplier that caps out at 2 times. I wouldn't worry about it too much, just know that there's an incentive to not die still, but it's not a super stress-inducing thing. With the currency you get, you can level 5 different stats. This includes health, stamina, and 3 different weapon scaling stats, though I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'd say the top priority at the beginning is to level health and stamina, and to meet the minimum strength, dexterity, or resonance requirements for your weapon. Though it is important to note that while resonance isn't a common weapon scaling stat, there is a lot of perks that can have their damage scaled with resonance as well. The build variety doesn't end with the perks, by the way. There are loads of different weapons in this game, each of them sharing a variety of light to heavy movesets, but every weapon in the game has a unique special attack. It could be something as simple as heavy attack, but my favorite weapon has to be the bow daggers. With the bow daggers, every 3 hits on the enemy, you get 1 more bow shot available to you, up to 5 bow shots. And with these startup shots, you can choose to either individually let out each shot, or charge it for a bit longer to let out all of your shots at once for massive damage. The depth of your moveset is as deep as you want it to be, so if you want to beat the game with just a heavy poker stick, you can. That's what I did for my first playthrough. I suppose now is a good time to talk about the combat, since I haven't much. You have a parry, of course, but there's a bit of nuance to it. Enemies often have sections of their health bar that are gray instead of red. While red sections of the health bar are instantly broken with a single parry and allow you to fill your healing meter, gray sections of the health bar are where your parry only reflects the enemy attack, which staggers the enemy for a bit, and can be upgraded with hunt points to do things as simple as doing damage with the reflect, or perhaps gaining temporary lifesteal after performing a reflect. Enemies also often have attacks that shroud them in a red glow, telegraphing to the player that the next oncoming attack is not parryable and must be dodged by some means, either with your dash that gives you iframes, or finding a way to avoid it entirely with your movement kit. This actually applies to projectiles too. As long as the projectile isn't red in some manner, you can absorb it and redirect it back into your enemies. And the game is very consistent with its rules and its colored attacks. There is never a time where something with a red glow is actually parryable and vice versa. It's so consistent, in fact, that you can even parry environmental traps. There's a certain point in the game where there's a lot of spears coming out of the walls, and the moment of realization I had when I figured out I could parry the wall spears that were gray was amazing. Finally, there's certain attacks where the enemy becomes exposed and a yellow circle appears around them. Once you kill the first major boss in the game after the tutorial, you can get the pull ability and use it to throw these yellow circled enemies off balance and leave them open for a beating from your weapons. And yes, of course, there's plenty of perks that synergize with pulling these exposed enemies as well. It's always satisfying to learn how to quickly react to these tells and pull the exposed enemy almost instantly and punish them with a flurry of weapon hits. With all this explained, I can now talk about the bosses. A bit of a disclaimer. All of the background gameplay is actually in New Game Plus. Why does this matter? Well, the most recent major update for the game was completely focused on adding a great New Game Plus experience to the game. I'll talk about it later, but just know that all the footage you've been seeing is from the harder New Game Plus version of Grime. Anyways, I enjoyed all the bosses in Grime. The only one that annoyed me a bit was the Shapely Fetus boss because there was little to no parryable attacks in Phase 2 and it took me a bit to adapt to it. The gameplay loop of learning the best attacks to punish and what a boss may do in retaliation to your parries is great. And when you see that yellow exposed rings, all the neurons activate and you get to go absolutely ham on the enemy. The bosses are very well telegraphed as well, leading to little to no deaths that one would call bullshit. There's only rare instances where a fight can bug, which would lead to unfair damage scenarios, which is unfortunate. I don't really have much to say about the bosses, I just really enjoy them and there was no hesitation in me to go in and do one more quick New Game Plus cycle to record some footage for this video. Among my favorite boss fights in the game are the Surrogate Vulture, the final boss, and the secret New Game Plus super boss. Ah, yes. A great time to talk about New Game Plus in this game. So like I said earlier, there was a whole major update dedicated to making New Game Plus a worthwhile experience in this game. Every enemy and boss has their AI changed in some way to breathe new life into this game once you've mastered all the mechanics. And the best thing is, you keep your whole moveset that you unlocked through your whole first playthrough of the game as well, so you can do things in a drastically different order if you want to. You can also upgrade your weapon to a new max level each New Game Plus cycle, and you can overlevel your perks with points that you get from refighting the previous major bosses. It's so satisfying to completely jack up one or two perks into the ceiling and test your newfound power, and the new super boss found in New Game Plus is a great playground for your kit. It feels really daunting at first, but it's a satisfying boss to overcome. At first it feels like a marathon, and then you get the hang of it, and it snowballs into a victory. And the music fits so well. Actually, the music in the entire game is amazing. I'll go back to the Surrogate Vulture theme, just take a listen. It's so beautiful. It's frankly quite baffling how the soundtrack has such little views on YouTube. It legitimately needs more love. I'll highlight a few other tracks in the game, such as the Flower Heart theme. I love how menacing the synth sound in the second half of it, really fitting the fight where these stone creatures are relentlessly pursuing you, and you just have to keep on the move and reflect so many of their attacks. The Shapely Fetus's theme also fits very well with this super aggressive hand thing that's constantly swinging at you with this unparryable sword while you have to jump all over these shockwaves and dash through them. It's awesome. And of course, the final performance, a lot of the community likes it. It's such a great moment of the game. It really makes the player ask a lot of questions why this entire civilization of people want you to absorb them, but also want to go out with a bang to be remembered by the only thing that will remain once the player character is done with this world, which is you. I've been refraining from showing the final boss itself since it's such a good moment to experience blind, but know that it has a great music track too. Oh, and the hub theme, the world pillar. So mysterious, but I enjoyed hearing it every time I went back to do another round of weapon upgrading. And the ambience. The ambience. It's often overlooked in games, but I must acknowledge it, especially the ambient theme of the pale sky. It fits the final zone of the game before the final boss very well. Just some solemn platforming through the top of the map while reflecting on the final performance while journeying towards the final boss. It's so sweet. But yeah, do you remember how I mentioned earlier how the soundtrack doesn't have that many views? Well, that kind of goes for the whole game. It really deserves more attention. I most definitely had more fun with it than Hollow Knight or Sekiro, and I really want more people to be able to have the experience of this game. Grime was released on August 2nd, 2021, a time where it felt like so many Souls-Like Metroidvanias were coming out, and it got lost in the shuffle. But the devs have added so much to the game since release, and have improved it so much with player feedback. I was surprised, reading up on the game after beating it, to realize that a decent bit of the things I enjoyed in the game were actually things changed or added after release due to player feedback. The devs have done a great job improving their game, and it really deserves a shot from people. Perhaps a shot from you. Eh? I think that you won't regret it, honestly. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. This is my first time doing a video like this, a sort of review on a game, recommending it to people. Feel free to give me feedback in the comments on how I could improve my videos, and perhaps leave a like on the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it. But anyways, that's all I have to say. Take care. Bye bye.